Before starting the lesson today, I would like you to look at the slide. There are some adjectives such as shy, independent, superstitious, direct, formal, materialistic, and punctual. Please choose for the characteristics that could be the typical characteristics of the American. 30 seconds for you to choose. Time's up. Do you have the answers? Since the United States is a diverse nation which has been influenced by many different cultures, there are some common characteristics among most Americans like independent, direct, materialistic, and punctual. The first characteristic is independent. Do you know the meaning of this word? It means confident and free to do things without needing help from other people. The Vietnamese meaning is độc lập không lệ thuộc. Another word is direct, which is very honest in saying what you mean. Thẳng thắn is the Vietnamese meaning. The next one, materialistic, which is caring more about money and possessions than anything else. What is the Vietnamese meaning? Its meaning is thiên về vật chất. Finally, punctual. This word is arriving or doing something at the correct time, not late. In Vietnamese, it means đúng giờ. Okay, we've got to know some typical characteristics of the American. Today, we will continue to study Unit 7, Cultural Diversity, Lesson 6, Writing. How are we different? In this lesson, we will learn how to write a paragraph about some characteristics of the Vietnamese people. Now, open the textbook, page 22. Look at task 1 in the textbook. Put the jumbled up sentences in order to make a meaningful paragraph. First, read the jumbled sentences thoroughly. Now, I will show you the meanings of some new words. Look at the first sentence. Do you know the meaning of feature? A feature is a typical quality of something. The Vietnamese meaning is điểm đặc trưng. In the next sentences, we have the word characteristic. What does this word mean? A characteristic is a typical feature or quality that something or somebody has. It means nét đặc trưng, đặc điểm. We also have another noun, character. It means all the qualities and features that make a person different from others. The Vietnamese meaning is nét đặc sắc, tính cách. In part C, look at the word prestige. It is a noun, which means the respect and value that somebody or something has because of their social position or what they have done. What is the Vietnamese meaning? Yeah, thánh thể. From prestige is adjective. Prestigious means respected and admired as very important or of very high quality. The Vietnamese meaning is có uy tín, có thánh thể. In part E, we have to pay attention to two new words. Firstly, can you guess the meanings of the word influence? Influence means the effect that somebody or something has on the way a person thinks or behaves. Its Vietnamese meaning is sự tác động, sự ảnh hưởng. It usually goes with the preposition on. The other word is object. Do you know this verb? Object to something or someone is to say that you disagree with or oppose something or someone. The Vietnamese meaning is phản đối. In the last part, can you guess the meaning of the word practical? It is sensible and realistic. In Vietnamese, it means thực tế. The second word is beyond. It's a preposition used to say that something is not possible. The Vietnamese meaning is vượt quá, không thể. Okay, we've gone through some new words. Now, 3 minutes for you to copy down. Finish? Well done. Now, let's underline the keywords in these sentences. Look at the first sentence. What should be focused on? Apparently, we have in short. In these sentences of part B, what are the keywords? America and some characteristics shared by most Americans. Easy work, isn't it? Now, your turn. Which words or phrases we have to pay attention to in the sentences of part C? We will underline another typical American feature. For the sentences in part D, perhaps the most important of these should be underlined. In part E, we should underline finally. And last but not least, in the sentences of part F, it's important to focus on the second characteristic. We have just underlined important words and phrases. Now, put the jumbled up sentences in order to make a meaningful paragraph. 3 minutes for you to do the task. Time's up. Have you finished? Now, I will give you the answers and explanations. Which sentences will be the beginning of the paragraph? B. B is the correct answer. How do you know the answer is B? As the topic of the test is typical American characteristics, the first sentence provides some general information about the American. The second sentence, however, is believed that there are some characteristics shared by most Americans in the topic sentence. We will continue with D. It's easy to see that the phrase, perhaps the most important of these, is used to mention the first characteristic, which is individuality and individual rights. Which is the next one? Obviously, it's F. This phrase is used to introduce the second characteristic of the American. Which is the fourth one? It's C. Why? Because the phrase, another typical American feature, refers to another characteristic, which is the importance Americans place on money. Which part will be the next? Part E, right. The linking word finally is used to point out the final characteristic, which is that parents have less influence on children. And the sentence of part A will end the paragraph. The phrase, in short, is a sign of concluding a paragraph. If you have the same answer as me, good writer, congratulations. If not, try to do it again. We've just finished putting the jumbled up sentences in order. Let me show the full paragraph in which the ideas are placed in order. Have you still remembered the hamburger? How to form a well-structured paragraph we've learned in the Unit 6. How many parts of a good paragraph? We have introduction, main body, and conclusion. In this paragraph, which one belongs to introduction? Which sentences are supporting sentences? And which one is the conclusion? We will find out in Task 2. Now, we will number the sentences in the paragraph from 1 to 13. 1 minute to number the sentences. Finish. Look at the slide. We have a total of 13 sentences. Now, complete the outline with the numbered sentences in Task 1. Pay attention. There are gaps where you can fill with 2 sentences. 3 minutes for you to do the task. Have you finished yet? Here are the answers. What are you going to fill in for introduction? Sentence 1 and sentence 2? How about the first characteristic? Sentence 3. To support characteristic 1, which evidence do you have? Sentences 4 and 5. Right? And the next one. Similarly, do you know the answer for characteristic 2? Sentence 6 is the answer. To explain this one, for sure, the first evidence is the sentence 7. They place great value on doing things for themselves. And the second one is 8. They also avoid taking jobs which are beyond their ability. What about the third characteristic? We're filling this gap with sentence 9. Another typical American feature is the importance they place on money and the things it can buy. Its evidence is in sentence 10. In fact, money is more important than prestige to them. And the gap of the final characteristic is sentence 11. Finally, in most Americans' family, parents have less influence on their children than parents in other parts of the world. It's easy to see that sentence 12. Children can choose their own partners, even if their parents object to their choice, is the evidence for this characteristic. And the last one, conclusion, is sentence 13. In short, these features are believed to be part of the American character, but like many other things in modern society, they may change over time. I hope you have chosen the correct answers. After working out the outline for the paragraph, we move on to task 3, brainstorming. You will brainstorm some ideas about the topic, 3 typical characteristics of the Vietnamese people. Pay attention to typical characteristics and Vietnamese. Now, 3 minutes for you to brainstorm. Have you finished? I will give you some suggestions for Vietnamese people's typical characteristics. Tolerant, patient, friendly, patriotic, hardworking, devoted to family. You can add more. I will show you a sample outline for the topic. 3 typical characteristics of the Vietnamese people. In the first part, introduction, we can choose some of the ideas we have brainstormed. For example, I choose hardworking, friendly, and devoted to their families. For the first characteristic, I could state the idea hardworking. To support this idea, we act bringing them wealth and fortune to support their families. Similarly, you will provide evidence for characteristics 2 and 3. The conclusion will summarize my paragraph with some keywords like, in short, these characteristics, typical ones of the majority of Vietnamese people. After getting some ideas and the sample outline for the given topic, it's time for writing. Now, we move on to task 4. Based on what we have learned above, write a paragraph of 120 to 150 words about 3 typical characteristics of the Vietnamese people. Remember, the length of the paragraph is from 120 to 150 words. Pay attention. Remember to develop an outline before starting to write your paragraph. 8 minutes for you to do the task. Have you finished yet? Send the writing to your English teacher for feedback. We have just finished writing. Now, we move on to the next task. For further practice, we will make a short speech on the topic. 1 typical characteristic of the Vietnamese people, which is different from that of Americans. I will provide a sample answer. One of the different characteristics between the Vietnamese and Americans is that parents in Vietnamese families have more influence on their children than ones in America do. For example, American children can choose their own partners in spite of their parents' objection. Meanwhile, many children in Vietnam couldn't choose their partners without their parents' approval. 5 minutes to do this task. Today, we have got to know how to plan and write a well-structured paragraph about some typical characteristics of the Vietnamese people. Now, remember to do task 1 and task 2 in workbook, learn vocabulary, and prepare for the next lesson. Thanks for your attention. See you next time.